Greetings, friends. Well, time to close our look at Universal crossovers with Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. It's a monster. Anyway, here we go. Lawrence Talbot is making an urgent call from London to a Florida railway station where Chick Young and Wilbur Gray work as baggage clerks. Wilbur answers the phone, and Talbot tries to impart to him the danger of the shipment due to arrive for the McDougal House of Horrors, a local wax museum which purportedly contains the actual bodies of Count Dracula and the Frankenstein monster. However, before he is able to warn Wilbur, a full moon arises and Talbot transforms into a werewolf, proceeding to destroy his apartment while Wilbur is on the line. Wilbur, thinking the call is a prank, hangs up and continues on with his workday. Immediately thereafter, museum owner McDougal shows up to claim the shipments and, fearing them damaged when Wilbur and Chick mishandle them, demand that the crates be delivered in person so his insurance agent can inspect them. When Chick and Wilbur get to McDougal's House of Horrors, they open the first crate and find a coffin with Dracula inscribed on the front. When Chick leaves to retrieve the second crate, Wilbur witnesses Dracula awaken and he tries to get Chick's attention. However, when Chick returns with the second crate, Dracula hides just in time to go unnoticed. After Chick leaves again to greet McDougal and the insurance agent, Dracula hypnotizes Wilbur and reanimates Frankenstein's monster. McDougal and the insurance agent, with Chick in tow, again arrive too late to witness anything. Finding the storage cranes empty, McDougal accuses the boys of theft and has them arrested. Dun dun dun. That night, Dr. Sandra Mornay welcomes Dracula and the monster to her island castle. Sandra, a gifted surgeon who has studied Dr. Frankenstein's notebooks, has been posing as Wilbur's girlfriend as part of Dracula's scheme to replace the monster's brutish, rebellious brain with a more pliable one, Wilbur's. Well, that's not good. Wilbur and Chick are bailed out of jail and mistakenly believe Sandra to be their benefactor. It was actually Joan Raymond, who was an undercover investigator for the insurance company processing McDougal's claim, and helps Wilbur lead her to the missing exhibits. Meanwhile, Lawrence Talbot has taken the apartment across the hall from Wilbur and Chick. He has tracked Dracula and the monster from Europe and knows them to be alive. Talbot asks Chick and Wilbur to help him find and destroy Dracula and the monster. The next day, Joan comes to Chick in Wilbur's apartment and feigns love for Wilbur. Wilbur, not expecting the favor but embracing it, invites Joan to a masquerade ball that evening. Aww. That night, Wilbur, Chick, and Joan go to Sandra's castle to pick her up for the ball. While the ladies powder their noses, Wilbur answers a telephone call from someone who wants to speak to Dr. Lejos. It is Talbot who informs them that they are in fact in the house of Dracula. Wilbur reluctantly agrees to search the castle with Chick, and soon stumbles upon a basement staircase that leads to an underground passageway, complete with boat and dock. Chick insists they search for Dracula and the monster and attempt to prove to Wilbur that they do not really exist. Wilbur experiences a few close calls when he is confronted by the monsters. Every time he tries to show them to Chick, they have disappeared. Meanwhile, Joan has discovered Dr. Frankenstein's notebook in Sandra's bureau, and Sandra has discovered Joan's insurance company employee ID in her purse. After the women rejoin the men, a suavely dressed Dr. Lejos, a.k.a. Dracula, descends the castle stairs and introduces himself to Joan and the boys. Also working at the castle is naive Professor Stevens, who questions some of the specialized equipment that has arrived. After Wilbur admits that he was in the basement, Sandra feigns a headache and tells Wilbur and the others that they will have to go to the ball without her. In private, Sandra admits to Dracula that Stevens' questions, Joan's credentials, and Wilbur's curiosity in the basement have made her nervous enough to put the experiment on hold. Impatient, Dracula asserts his will by hypnotizing her, biting her in the throat, and making her his vampire slave. A mistake the movie makes is showing Dracula bite the woman in front of a mirror. He sees reflection and nears and hers as he bites her, while the vampires are not supposed to have reflection, as stated in Dracula. At the ball, the boys encounter Talbot and McDougal just as Dracula and Sandra rejoin the group. Dracula, when confronted by Talbot, easily deflects accusations that he is the real thing, insisting that it's only his costume and he is not actually Dracula. While Dracula takes Joan for a dance, Sandra lures Wilbur to a quiet spot in the woods. Before she can move in and bite him, Chick and Larry approach him and she flees. As they search for Joan, Talbot transforms into the Wolfman and stalks Wilbur. Wilbur escapes, but the Wolfman finds and injures McDougal. Knowing that Chick has brought a wolf mask as his costume to the ball, Uduku concludes that it was Chick who actually attacked him out of revenge. Chick manages to slip away, only to witness Dracula hypnotizing Wilbur. Chick is then also hypnotized and rendered helpless while Dracula and Sandra bring Wilbur and Joan back to the castle. The next morning, Chick and Talbot meet, and Talbot tells Chick that he's the Wolfman. After Chick explains to him that Dracula has taken Wilbur and Joan to the island, they agree to work together to rescue them. Well, that's good. While Wilbur is being held in a pillory, Sandra finally explains to him the plan to transplant his brain into the monster. She and Dracula leave him to prepare the monster for the operation. Chick and Talbot arrive to rescue Wilbur, but in an attempt to escape, Dracula hypnotizes Wilbur into coming back. Wilbur, who is now strapped to a slab, witnesses Dracula giving the monster electrical boosts in the lab. Just as Sandra prepares to open Wilbur's skull, Talbot and Chick storm in. Talbot struggles with Sandra and casts her aside. Chick knocks out Sandra and runs out of the lab to lure Dracula out so Talbot can save Wilbur. Just as Talbot is about to untie Wilbur, he once again transforms into the Wolfman. Dracula returns to the lab to find the Wolfman there and flees, with the Wolfman giving chase. Chick arrives to untie Wilbur just as the monster, now at full power, breaks his own restraints and rises from the stretcher. Sandra attempts to order him back, but the monster finally throws her out the lab window to her death. Chick and Wilbur try to escape with the monster hot on their trail. Yeesh. After trying to find out the Wolfman with little success, Dracula attempts to escape and transforms into a bat, but the Wolfman snares him and both fall down to the sea below. Joan abruptly wakes from her trance, while the boys escape at the castle and head to the pier with the monster in pursuit. Wilbur succeeds in untying the boat, while Stevens and Joan arrive and set the pier ablaze. The monster turns around and marches into the flames, succumbing as the pier collapses into the water. Oof. Just as Chick and Wilbur relax, Wilbur scolds Chick for not believing him. Chick insists that, since the monsters are all dead, there's nobody to scare us anymore. It is then they hear a disembodied voice and see a cigarette floating in the air. The voice says, "Oh, that's too bad. I was hoping to get in on the excitement. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm the Invisible Man." The boys jump off the boat and swim away while the Invisible Man lights his cigarette and laughs. Well, there's some pretty dark stuff in there, huh? Anyway, let's look at some production elements of this movie. The film was originally intended to be titled The Brain of Frankenstein, but it was changed prior to the filming schedule, which ran from February 5th to March 20th, 1948. In a 1996 documentary, 100 Years of Horror, hosted by Christopher Lee, it was revealed that the studio hired 2 additional comedians to add laughs between takes on the set. Costello hated the script. He said his 5-year-old daughter could have written something better, but later warmed to the film during production. During filming, Glenn Strange found Costello so funny he would often break up laughing, necessitating many retakes. This is readily apparent in the scene where Costello sits on the monster's lap. There were several pie fights between takes as well, but Abbott and Costello respected 3 monsters, Cheney as the Wolfman, Lugosi as Dracula, and Strange as the monster, and made sure no pies were flung at the heavily made-up actors. Yeah, that's pretty good. Boris Karloff refused to actually see this film, although he did help promote the film and can be seen in several publicity photos, including one where he is buying a ticket. Karloff appeared with the duo in the next year in Abbott and Costello Meet the Killer of Boris Karloff, and in 1953 in Abbott and Costello Meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. During the scene in the laboratory where the monster comes after Chick and Wilbur after throwing Sandra through the window, Glenn Strange stepped on a camera cable, causing the camera to fall and break some bones in his foot. Yeesh. Lon Chaney Jr., who was not working that day and who had previously played the monster in The Ghost of Frankenstein, took over the role of monster for that scene as well, as the scene where the monster is throwing barrels and crates at Wilbur and Chick while they are trying to escape in a rowboat at the pier. The Australian Film Board required that almost every scene involving a monster be removed before release. Why? This was the only time Bela Lugosi had reprised a role that he had created in Dracula. He had previously portrayed vampires in Mark of the Vampire, The Return of the Vampire, and would do so again in Mother Riley Meets the Vampire, and made a cameo gag as Dracula in a 1933 Hollywood on Parade short, but this was the only other time he had played Dracula as a sustained role in the film. Yeesh. Abbott and Costello's sidekick Bobby Barber appears in the film as a waiter at the costume ball. Barber was a regular part of the crew of many Abbott and Costello productions, Deleted backstage footage from the movie catches Costello and Barbara in several gags and stunts. The final scene with the Invisible Man presaged Abbott and Costello meet the Invisible Man, though Price did not star, and all characters were different. Vincent Price had appeared, however, in The Invisible Man Returns. This was the second classic film to include the character Dracula but have a different name. The other one was House of Frankenstein, which also did include Frankenstein's house, except for getting Frankenstein's diary from the ruins, and there was no one named Frankenstein in the movie. The film was originally budgeted at $759,524, but $32,746 over. Abbott and Costello were paid $105,000. At one point in the film, where Abbott and Costello's characters are going through the revolving panel, Costello calls Abbott by his real name instead of his character's name. Dracula's reflection can be seen in the mirror when he makes Dr. Monet's ex-victim. In previous Universal horror films, notably Lugosi's Dracula and House of Dracula of John Carradine, the undead could be recognized because they cast a reflection. However, this bit of lore had not been established within the context of the Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein script. When the Frankenstein monster breaks free of his bonds on the operating table in the climatic chase/fight scene, one of his neck electrodes clearly pulls off of his neck. When Costello is next to Dracula's coffin at the beginning of the film, the information card reads Frankenstein's monster until the camera moves and it changes to Dracula's legend. When Abbott and Costello are in the museum and Abbott tries to open Dracula's coffin, Costello calls Abbott Lou, his own name. The moving candle routine previously used in Hold That Ghost was utilized again in this film. That's pretty interesting. So yeah, another Abbott and Costello movie, and it's pretty good overall with a couple of dark stuff in there. So overall, I give Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein 3 jack-o'-lanterns out of 5. Well, that's all for looking at crossovers, but we're not done yet with looking at Universal movie monsters, because tomorrow we're going to look at remakes, starting with the 1979 remake of Dracula. So, until then, see you guys.